Hi everyone, this is a lecture summary for public good, externalities, and market failure. Now in the lecture we mentioned that why we're studying this topic is because of this phenomenon called market failure. Now if you leave the market to run on its own, that means just with buyers and sellers, there'll be some phenomenon that is problematic, okay, such as there'll be nobody that will provide public goods, and there'll be externalities that will not be corrected. Okay, so market failure is the undesirable effects of a market that's left to run on its own. Okay, these effects come in the form of public good, no public good being produced, and externalities. All right, let's take a look at what the public good and externalities are. Now we talk about the classification of goods using two characteristics, whether they are rivalry or not, whether they are excludable or not. Okay, so these are four classification of goods, which in the lecture I told you guys to remember the various combination. There's four of them. Okay, we have the private goods that we usually do, which are rival and excludable. Now, rival means that the amount balance will go down when someone consumes the good. Okay, one person consumes and the balance will go down, just like any ordinary good. Okay, like a water bottle, you drink a little bit and the balance will go down. Okay, and excludable means you can exclude people from the good, from consuming the good, usually by price or other criteria. Okay, so the other goods are various combination. Okay, like natural monopolies is non-rival and excludable. Okay, internet, cable TV, more people see the channels, there's still the amount of channels left. Okay, but it can be excluded by price or other technical criteria. Common resources, which is rival. Okay, which means that the amount of fish in the oceans, when you fish, one fish you fish, there's less that's left. Non-excludable oceans are so wide you can't stop people from fishing, especially in the high seas. And public good, which is non-rival and non-excludable. Okay, so four different classification of goods based on the characteristics of whether it is rival or not, excludable or not. Yeah. Now, public goods are non-rival, which means that no matter how many people use it, the amount remaining for the next person is still the same. Okay, we have demonstrated this in the lecture. Okay, non-rival, the balance that's left for the next person, no matter how many people have consumed it, remains the same. Non-excludable means you cannot stop people from using the good. Even you yourself cannot stop yourself from using the good. Okay, so it's technically and often theoretically not possible to exclude people from using the good. Okay, so public goods is a combination of these two factors, non-rivalry and non-excludable. Okay, now I mentioned in the lecture that many goods, in layman's term, as long as goods produced by the government, we call it public good. In econs, it's not like that. Okay, the good must have these two characteristics, non-rival and non-excludable, then it is public good. Okay, not everything produced by the government, in layman's term, all right, is a public good in economics. Okay, it must fulfill these two characteristics. Now, because public goods are non-rival and non-excludable in nature, it results in a problem which is called a free rider problem. The free rider problem means that consumers can enjoy the good without paying for it. Okay, it's possible to do that. Now, we assume that consumers are rational. When it is possible to enjoy the good without paying for it, we assume that the consumers will not pay for it. Okay, now this leads to a situation whereby consumers can enjoy the good without paying for it, which means that the seller will not be able to collect any money, all right, or any revenue if they choose to produce public goods. Okay, so as a result, suppliers, sellers are also rational. When they cannot collect any money, they will not want to produce public goods. Okay, so the free rider problem creates a situation whereby no seller would want to produce public goods because they are not going to get any money from it. Now, as a result, how do we resolve this market failure? The government has to take over and produce public goods, right? Now we solve our first market failure phenomenon, which is no public goods. Okay. Now we go on to the next part, which is on externalities. Now externalities comes from external. Okay. Now usually when we talk about buying and selling, it involves only two parties: the consumers and the producers. Okay. Consumers are concerned about their own benefit, their own private benefit. That's why they want to buy something, okay? Because they want to benefit from it. It's their own private benefit. Consumers, when they produce something, they care about their own cost of production, wages, utilities, raw materials, okay? So it's their own private cost of production. Now, in this model, both consumers and producers cannot understand that beyond themselves, okay, for the consumer, beyond themselves, the society might benefit from the consumer consuming the good. The consumer cannot understand that, okay? For the producers, they cannot understand that somebody else other than them has to pay a price for the production of the good. Okay, so these are called externalities. That means other than the buyer or the seller, a third party benefits or pays the price. Okay, so in this case, the buyers and sellers cannot comprehend that there's a third party involved. Okay, so putting on the thinking cap of a government, okay, we have to make the appropriate adjustments. Okay. Now, we talk about negative externalities, okay, that's in the form of pollution and deforestation when we are producing goods such as wooden furniture, all right, and some other goods. Okay, it will cause pollution, deforestation, and it damages the environment. Now, when the environment is damaged or polluted, other than the producers, a lot of people, all right, has to pay the price. Okay, so these are negative externalities. Now in the course book, you will see that we further classify them into whether it's coming from the production side or the consumption side. Sometimes the negative externalities comes from the production side. Okay, for example, when you produce batteries, okay, the chemicals can pollute the river. When you consume other products like cigarettes, okay, the secondhand smoke from the smoking will damage another person's health. So negative externalities can come from the production or the consumption of a certain good. Okay. Now we did this diagram in lecture. Let me go through it. Now for externalities, we are using demand and supply diagrams. Very simple demand and supply diagram. Just that the names are changed, but the meaning is the same. Okay. Now demand curve, MPB, marginal private benefit, is private benefit to the consumers. Okay. Supply curve is MPC, private cost to the producers. Okay. Now when there's external cost, a negative externality, okay, and in the form of an external cost like pollution, what we are saying is that the cost of production should be higher because of the pollution, because of the damage to the environment. The cost of production should be higher, but the producers cannot understand that. Producers can only look at their own marginal private costs. Okay, but we know that because the environment is damaged, the actual cost of production, that means the social cost, MSC, marginal social cost of production, is higher. Okay, because there's an existence of an external cost. So we add this negative externality, okay, to the production cost to get marginal social cost. So the marginal social cost of production is higher, okay, than marginal private cost, because we include the externality, which is the external cost. Okay, so what we are showing here is that the cost of production should actually be higher, which should result in a higher price. Okay, now if you don't do anything as a government, supply will just remain at MPC because the producers will not be able to understand that they're polluting the environment. Okay, they just continue to produce at MPC, which is producing too much. Okay, Now, what we should do is to reduce the production of this good, okay, push it to MSC, okay, and make whoever that's producing or buying the product pay a higher price. Okay, so what we need to do is to get the producers to produce less from MPC to MSC. Okay, how much difference is that depending on the amount of external cost that's being generated by the production of this good. So one way, okay, to get producers to produce less, okay, shift supply curve from MPC to MPS could be through government taxing, okay, the producers. Some of you can recognize that this is very similar to our tax topic that we did, okay, or you impose a quota or you impose some other regulation. But what we want to do is to make the producers produce less, okay, by adding a tax, for example, to the private cost of production so that it reflects the pollution, which is the external cost, so that the eventual cost of production is accurate. It measures production cost plus the social cost of plus the pollution, okay, which is the social cost of overall of the production of the good. Okay, so supply curve shift to the left after imposition of a tax, okay, and other regulations. So you can see that the price goes up, okay, and the equilibrium quantity falls from QM to QS. Okay. Now, externalities does not only just exist in a negative way; it can be positive. Okay, we have gone through this in the lecture. Some of the positive externalities, for example, education, inoculation, like a flu jab. Okay, now this benefit the entire society, but as consumers, you will not think that you will not make this decision to buy a certain good because it benefits society. You will buy a certain good because it benefits you. Okay, so it's beyond the consumer to think for the society when they consume a certain product. All right. Now, what we are showing here is I mentioned in lecture that there's two diagrams involving a positive external benefit. The first diagram is to show that there is a positive benefit to the consumption of a certain good. Now, for example, in this diagram where we can, for example, we say education, what we are saying here is when consumers consume a product, let's say for education, they only look at their own private benefit, MPB. Okay, now we draw a higher demand curve, MSB. Okay, and this is saying that consumers should be consuming more overall. Okay, they should be consuming more by the amount of external benefit that this good, which is education, is generating. All right, it's a good thing. They should be consuming more. Now, this is to show that there's a presence of an external benefit, okay, a positive externality. All right. Now, this should not be the solution, because you see that if this is a solution, consumers end up paying a higher price. Okay. So this diagram is just to show that there's a presence of external benefit that consumers should be producing more. So the original equilibrium point giving Q1 quantity is too low. Okay, so we call this inefficiency. All right, the original uncorrected quantity is always inefficient. All right, because for the good thing, consumers are consuming too little. For the bad thing, consuming too much. Okay, so the initial point is always inefficiency. Okay, so for a good thing, this amount is too low. Consumers should be consuming more. Now, how can we make the consumers consume more without them paying a higher price? So the solution is we increase the supply of that product. So in this case, what we are doing is we increase the supply from MPC to MSC. Okay. Now, MPC is the marginal private cost. This is the marginal social cost. Now, what we are saying here is that social cost should be lower. Okay, because there is a benefit that's involved. They will offset the private cost. Okay, so supply should be higher. All right, so we should increase supply by the amount of the external benefit that this good is generating. Okay, now how can we make suppliers produce more. We can, for example, give subsidies to lower their cost of production. So therefore, they produce more from MPC to MSC, okay? And the price would fall from the old price to the new price. And in the market, more of the good will be produced from Q1 to Q2. Okay, so what we're saying here is that your social cost is actually lower than your private cost because this good is generating a good thing. So it should not be as expensive as the producers think it is because it's doing a lot of good, right, for the wider environment. Okay, so this is the diagram that corrects for a positive externalities. The previous diagram was to show only. Okay, so in the exam, make sure you can tell the difference between when they want you to show and when they want you to correct. Okay, now revise this topic, we shall talk about this in the tutorial. Alright, see you.